Sports Media of the Pugilist Place. We're here with the distinguished Henry Ramirez, Riverside Boxing. Hey, man, he's been doing it a long time. How you doing, Henry?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. First thing I want to ask you is, almost immediately after Conor McGregor a couple weeks ago had his win in the UFC, immediately we started hearing about him fighting Floyd again, or fighting Manny Pacquiao. What are your thoughts on these hybrid matches?
I'm not offended as some purists, boxing purists or historians, because they're not selling it as Leonard Hearns. They're not selling it as Pacquiao Mayweather. They're selling it as an event. Mm-hmm. You know, two different sports, bringing the biggest stars together for an event. You know, so I'm not as offended as some. You know, it's great entertainment. It's great entertainment. And actually, we were part of the Mayweather-McGregor card. Marcos right there fought on the Mayweather-McGregor card.
That's right.
Yeah.
Newman, right?
Yep. Fought Kevin Newman the first time. Yep.
So you're cool with it? So if he fought Pacquiao, you'd watch it?
I'd watch it. Yeah. Shit. If I could go, I'd go. But I mean, I don't. I'm not that guy. Like, oh, how could they? Look, it's all about making money. Let's be honest. You know, it's entertainment, and they're not selling. Like I said, they're not selling it as, oh, the greatest boxing fighting. They're selling it as an event. You know, combat sports. So I don't get offended.
What about the YouTubers fighting on professional fight cards?
Again, same thing. I don't get offended. No one's passing it off as a title fight or guys at a high skill level. They're just throwing some popular YouTube guys in the middle of a card, and if it can attract more eyes, great. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. But I'm not offended again. I'm not.
Do you think, I think Eddie Hearn was making the argument that it grows the sport. Do you think it grows the sport?
I wouldn't necessarily say it grows the sport, because most of those people are only going to watch for the YouTubers and probably not pay attention again. Me, again, I'm not offended. I don't get like, oh, how could they? It's boxing, man. There's been a lot of how could they moments and black eyes on the sport, so it's not a big deal to me.
I think it was during the KSI Logan Paul fight. Some of the people calling it were like,
right.
There's a bunch of like kids and parents, and it was just a different crowd.
I didn't even watch half of the fights on the card, the regular boxing ones. So I mean, the only one I watched was JoJo and Farmer. I missed the Danny Roman fight. Unfortunately, I got there a little late.
So you have a big fighter. Fox just announced, PBC just announced recently, Marcos Madman Hernandez.
Right.
Going to be fighting James Kirkland.
James Kirkland.
So how did that fight come to fruition?
You know, it's funny. We actually signed for this fight December 20th. And it took forever to announce it, 5-6 weeks. So, you know, I had even called, you know, some people with PBC like, hey, are we still good with this fight? Because usually you don't take 6 weeks, you know, and it was a little too quiet. You know, when it's a little too quiet after you sign, maybe something's happening. And there actually was something happening behind the scenes. There was a miscommunication on the weight. I don't know how you miscommunicate 5 pounds, but supposedly there was a miscommunication. They tried to raise the weight. We signed for 160. They tried to raise it to 165. And we're like, no, we won't take the fight then. And we came to a compromise. I think it was at 62. So, it's a big fight. You know, it's a big fight for Marky. James Kirkland's a huge name. Granted, he hasn't been active, but he's still a huge name. And, you know, him coming back is creating some interest. You know, they're already talking about, you know, maybe fast tracking him to a Charlo fight. We're going to fast track him to retirement, you know.
Retirement once again. So, like you mentioned, big name, somebody that's been in there with Canelo. How do you beat somebody like that?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Marky is in great shape. He's training hard. But we also, even though I don't think, he's not at his prime, and he hasn't been in a real competitive fight in 5 years, that's not to say, you know, he still doesn't have something left in the tank. We'll find out what he's got left in the tank. I honestly couldn't give you an honest answer until we see him in the ring. But it's hard to go from 5 years not fighting. He's fought 2 guys who served a purpose, you know, I think 3 competitive rounds, and someone who's been fighting pretty actively. And I think James has his work cut out for him, I'll tell you that.
So after so much success, you've been repping the region as a trainer and manager. Chris, Josecito, did you still think you'd be doing this years later?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. You know, 44 is still fairly young as a trainer, you know. I just been doing this since I was 27. So, I enjoy it. You know, it comes. There's good and bad days. You know, I mean, like any business you're in, there's good times, bad times. Me, I never. If things are bad, I never get too low, and we win a fight, I don't get my head in the clouds and delusional. I just keep it all simple.
That's the key to success, right? Just keep it going.
Keep it level-headed.
Have you ever given any thought to what you might be doing if you weren't training?
Yeah, but now it's so busy, man. It's so busy that my life is just completely consumed with boxing, to be honest.
Yeah.
And it has been. But now it's even more because the number of fighters that I have. You know, granted, they're not huge fights, but every week I've got something lined up. And then when those are done, the guys who are ready fought are starting to get ready again. You know, and eventually, you know, a lot of these 6-round kids are gonna evolve to 8 and 10 and hopefully 12-round fighters where, you know, it's gonna be great. You know, I can't complain. I like it. I actually love it, and I really can't complain.
When you were coming up with Chris and Josecito, you were close in age to them.
Very much so. Chris and I are 5 years apart, I think.
And so now, you know, they give these fighters who are even under 18.
Well, it's funny now because I have so many fighters that are close to my daughter's age. You know, my daughter's 22. So I have a lot of guys that are young, you know, and I have to deal with them and hear their stories. Like, damn, you know, it's a lot. It's a lot, but I can't complain.
Hey, man, it keeps you current with what's going on, keeps your ear to the streets. Have you ever given any thought to, like, or have you ever done any, like, broadcasting? Or
Actually, I have. It was a few years back. Goosen was doing shows at the Tachi Palace. And my buddy Rodney Hunt was doing their play-by-play, and he asked me, "Hey, do a fight with me." So I did it. It was actually pretty fun.
Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I did actually. During that conversation, I was watching Mike Dallas fight, and during the conversation, we're watching fight. And he goes, "Oh yeah, him and Josecito would be a good fight." And I said, "Yeah, probably would be down the line." He goes, "You know, by the way, I would make a wager with you that Mike Dallas would beat Josecito." I said, "You're crazy. There's no way. Like, there's no way." And we actually did wager when they actually fought.
And the reason why I asked, though, is because you do a really good job of explaining things. You have a lot of knowledge, and so, you know, it's I
don't know. I guess I would approach it or worry about that like if I was approached about it. But right now, I'm focused on.
You're too busy.
Yeah, I'm focused on getting fighters ready and trying to create and get the best opportunities for them.
And so, big heavyweight fight 2 weeks away. Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder. Now, you said that you think that Fury will lose that fight. It'd be Wilder would win.
Right.
Is Wilder the heaviest or hardest heavyweight puncher in history?
I've never been hit by him. I couldn't tell you. I think so. I mean, look, I don't know for sure. I've never worked mitts with him and this, but I'll tell you what, when he hits somebody, there's a explosive reaction. There's usually it's pretty a highlight reel. So, I mean, his power is probably, you know, up there. If it isn't the top, it definitely is up there because, man, what he's able to rescue himself from fights. You know, he could be losing 10, 11 rounds to nothing and rescue himself at the end.
Right, and he bail himself out.
And he's dangerous from start to finish. He carries that power late in fights too, as you've seen with Fury. You know what I mean? So.
All right. Finally, most important question: what's wrong with motivational quotes?
I think they're stupid. I'm a very motivated person in my own way, like silently. You know. I just think, like, man, I see people posting motivational quotes, and a lot of people I actually know, and I think they're full of shit. You know, so. And I know the way they live their own life. I'm like, man, how are you trying to motivate people? You're full of shit. Like, me, I'm very driven in other ways. I've been through a lot, like, growing up. And I would have every excuse to make it, fuck that. I don't make excuses for anything. The way I deal with whatever life does.
Right.
You know what I mean? But, yeah, people that come up with all these motivations. And I even ask them, like, how do you have one for every day of the week? Then every day of the year, like, do you run out? Do you just recycle them? Like, how many quotes are there? Like, I just think they're whack. I think they're stupid, to be honest.
I know. I see you post that. I thought that was hilarious. All right, Henry. Thank you so much for the time. We appreciate it.
All right, thanks.